Hey, welcome to the next video for our turkey. I just have so much fun with this guy that I just keep playing around and seeing if I can make it better and better. So in our last video, we took the low poly ZBrush version and the high poly version from ZBrush as well, and then we baked it in Substance Painter. Now there were a couple. If you are following these turkey series, you'll see in the videos that we did have a couple small issues that I had to fix in the tail, and there's some UV issues that are visible in the bullets as well. So in this video, I was thinking, why don't we take it a little further and let's explore what would it take to create maybe a better custom UVs for this guy, or at least clean these up instead of going to ZBrush. Could we use Maya to do that? And let's explore and see what would that take. So if we take a look at the 3D and 2D map, you will see this is the current UV layout, which is somewhat terrible, right? Because ZBrush gave us a lot of spaces here in our UV space, and really not that good actually. And the other thing is we could see that there's some overlapping geometry, or UVs, right? Like these black spots indicate that UVs somewhere are overlapping, which are these little bullets, again, automatically generated from ZBrush, right? So how would I clean this up if I wanted to make this just a little bit nicer, right? So personally, what I would do, there's many different workflows, but this is what I would do. If I needed to clean this up, I would definitely use Maya for this kind of stuff. So let me open that up. Let's jump into Maya for a second. All right, and in here, obviously the only one that I need is the low poly version of the turkey. So let me import that. And here he is. So he comes in really tiny, right? Because the ZBrush units are different. The one thing you do not want to do is change the scale of this in Maya, right? Because if you change the scale of this in Maya and export it back out, the overlapping between the high res, or the scale size between the low and the high, is going to be different, and the baking in Substance Painter is not going to work. So it's a really important point. If you do end up making, doing this step right here where you just kind of use Maya to clean things up, make sure you don't touch the scale, right? And personally, because I did use OBJ instead of FBX, the model is kind of faceted. So what I could do is go to Mesh Display, and let me just do soft hard edges, and by default, I think it's set to 30. That's fine. I'm just going to do soft and hard, and you can see some of the edges are nice and sharp, and the rest are nice and smooth, and it kind of automatically gave me that looks, something really nice, right? And this is how it would look in the game engine. If you look at the model really carefully and there you see pieces that you don't want to be, like for example this right here, right? I see certain elements like of the body that I'm not really loving right here. And there's just a few different things that maybe even the tail. I don't really want any sharp lines in the tail personally. So I could just go to soft edges only for these pieces, right? So you have full control. Now you can see it's really nice and smooth. And again, this is going to be the form or the shape that would show up in the game engine, right? But the rest of them are really nice. Like I do like the fact that this is sharp, right? And all of that makes sense. I could see that the feet right here, I'm actually not loving either. So let me fix that as well. I'm just going to do soft on that, and you can see the heels are nice and soft, right? So all of this stuff is important. That's why I want to show you guys, is that for anyone who is new, making game characters, you really want to take some time and really carefully examine every part of your model, from the soft and hard edges to UVs to painting. All of that is really important. Another thing I like to do is sometimes turn on the wireframe. I was going to say polyframe. Polyframe in Maya, and this is nice because you could see all the topology of your model. But actually, let's turn this off for a minute and let's take a look at this the UVs from ZBrush, right? So if I select this character, and in my poly modeling tab here, if I go to let's see, to this texture coordinates, right? You can see these are the UVs that I was given, right? And let's ask Maya if it could show us if any of the UVs are overlapping, essentially creating an issue. So as I was telling you before, this kind of stuff right here, we know that this guy is overlapping. On my model, at least, you might have other issues. And then this one right here is overlapping, right? That's why it's kind of dark. Substance Painter is kind of telling you, hey, there's issues here. So let's ask Maya to show us these issues automatically. So what I could do is let me go to my UVs here. I'm gonna right click and go to UV. And I'm just gonna select all of these points. And then I'm gonna go to select. I'm gonna say overlapping. So I'm gonna click on that. And now you can see there's like these little green dots that appear on the model. And that is going to show me, and I can see it in the UV editor as well, right? Right here, you can see these. Let me zoom in to show you guys. So all of this, right here, and again, this is the bullet in the back. It's showing you where the issues are, right? And that's the problem, right? So how do we fix this? What would be the process of fixing something like this? Hopefully automatically as well, right? So let's see, what we could do is, let's go to object mode. And let's just let's go ahead and hide some of these pieces. So I'm gonna select this right here. And if you go to display and then do a hide, you can do hide selection, right? Which is gonna be useful. And you know what, I'm gonna press Control and Shift to add this button, hide selection, to my shelf. And you can see a little icon appeared. I also would like to add the show all. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do Control Shift and click on show all. And now I have this one more with the eye showing me that this is showing all and this is hide all, right? So now let's take advantage of these little shortcuts that we just made. And what we could do is we can double click on some of these meshes, hold on the Shift key and just hide pieces of this, right? So maybe I want to hide all of this, the entire tail. I'm going to just say hide. And let me hold on the Shift key. I'm going to also select the legs and the neck and do hide selected. And essentially what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to reveal these bullets so I can easily select them. That's what I'm trying to do. So another thing I can do, let me select all of these here by just doing, just dragging, right? And I can literally just very quickly. Now, if you want to add to your selection, you can see there's like a little plus that appears. So if I press on my keyboard, it's actually Command Shift or a Windows Shift, right? Whatever you do on your keyboard, just make sure you have that little plus appear. And now what you can do is you can add to your selection. I know every keyboard and computer is different. I'm actually on the Mac right now. So I can just keep adding to my selection. And again, for me, it's Windows Shift. And then I can do hide selected, and that's going to hide most of the mesh. I can add this to my selection as well. And now you can see what I did, right? I kind of isolated these bullets. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these bullets. Let me select just them alone. Okay. And now I can see in the UV sheet that all of the UVs right here are for these bullets, right? And you know what? I'm not really happy with how they are looking. And I'm not happy with the UVs for these at all. So how do I fix this in Maya? What I can do is I can go to UV. Let me go to planar. And I'll just do another projection from the top using the Y and just say apply. All right. Now if I press W on my keyboard, I can move these aside. And now I know that all of this here is the turkey. And all of this here are going to be the bullets, right? Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select these bullets. And I want Maya to do another go at unwrapping these automatically. So I'm going to go to UV. Let's go to auto seams. So I'm going to click auto seams. And on the bottom left, you can see it's showing us that it's actually computing. Once it's done, I'm going to right click on these, go to face, select all of them, just the bullets. And right here in the UV toolkit, I'm going to go and do unfold. Okay. And as soon as I press unfold, again, bottom left, you can see it says it's unfolding automatically. And let's just take a look and see if Maya will do a better job. Once it does something like this, it unfolded everything, but it puts it like in one big pile. I can go to, let's go to arrange and layout, and let's just do unstack. and that's going to automatically kind of, you know, put them in a much better layout for us, right? And we can see what that looks like. Now, hopefully all of this here, all of this work here is going to fix our overlapping issues, right? So the next thing I need to do is I need to take all of this and put it back into this 0 to 1 UV grid space, so we can then bring it into Substance Painter and maybe do another go at this, right? Now, there's a couple other things we could fix here in Maya as well. For example, I don't know what this is. This looks kind of weird. Let me unhide all. Let me go to Faces and just double click on this. What is this guy? All right, I can see it's the front of this. This is a really strange UV for that, right? Definitely not very pretty. I'm gonna hold on the Shift key and select this one as well. And I can see there's two of them. Let's say I want to fix this. I'm not happy with this. Again, I can project it from, you can see the gizmo is the Z, right? So I'm going to do Z from the front. And that's a much better projection. And I also know if I isolate this for 1 second, I know that it has all the back elements that we never cleaned up in ZBrush, right? So one thing you might want to do is just clean this up. What would be the fastest way to just delete the back faces? Well, I can go to a different view, right? Let me go to the side view. And in here with these selected, I can just do isolate, and that's going to isolate just these two meshes. I can right click on this and go to faces. And let me just select all of these back faces here, right? And then just press delete. And you can see in my viewport, what I've done, I deleted all this extra geometry that's not necessary, right? And all of that is gone, which means we can take these pieces here. Let's go ahead and select them. We can just unfold them. And once we unfold them, maybe it's going to be a much better unfolding UVs than what we had before, right? This is essentially just a flat surface of this mesh right here. And I think this is much nicer, honestly. So again, this would be the process of using Maya to carefully unfold things and kind of reorganize all this. Some of this, you know, is complete and total nonsense from ZBrush. And let's just do one more item. Let me jump out of isolate mode. Let's press spacebar to go into this view here. And the other thing that we can do is maybe let's take a look at something like the head, for example, right? If I double click on the head, I can see that the UVs for this head is going to be the head and these two strips. The two strips, I think, were the eyes because they were different UV groups in ZBrush. Let me isolate this for 1 second. And let's say I want to clean this up. What if I want to change the UVs for this to be something else? And I also see that there's some sharp lines here that I'm not loving. So I'm actually going to do soft edges on that. And you can see that also fixes the model as well, right? Very cool. So now how would I change the UVs for this to be something different? Well, what I could do is I can do a projection from the front. Let's do projection from Z and say apply. And now if I press W, I can move this around. You can see that now the head looks like this, right? Now what I could do is I can manually tell Maya. So maybe what I should do is let's just make a cut from here. And we'll take it all the way down to maybe here, right? So we'll go from the top of the head, holding down the Shift key. I can just double click and you can see there's this orange line appearing, showing me where the seam is going to be, right? And this is going to be on the bottom, so I can even go back to the center if I wanted to, you know, do something like that. That's fine. Now let's say I want this seam to be here. So what I could do now is I can go to let's go to cut and press cut, and now you can see a seam appeared, which means if I right click on it and go to face, double click on this and do an unfold, now this is going to be a much better UV for the head. So again, you can see what I'm doing. Let's jump out of isolate, and you can see piece by piece you can unfold this manually and create beautiful custom UVs, right? All right, very nice. So let's say you took the time and you went through all the pieces and you cleaned everything up and your UVs look beautiful and you can't stop smiling because it's perfect, right? Now, how do we organize all of this stuff here? What we could do is we can select all of this and let's go to modify. let's click on layout. And by clicking this button, layout is going to automatically take all of our pieces and shove them into 0 to 1 space. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so it's done that, but now obviously some of the meshes that we created UVs for have a different density. If I click on this button right here, you can see the density of the head is much different than the density of the rest of the mesh, right? Because this is kind of, it's large, so it's gonna have like a higher resolution output, right, than the rest of them. So how do we fix this? How do we make this density to be the same, the same size? So what I could do is I can just double click on any one of these pieces. Doesn't really matter which one. I'll choose a smaller one. And then what I can do is I can go to transform. And in here under tools, you have something called texel density. If I say get, it's going to tell me that this is 44.4 for this little piece right here. So now how do I apply this density to the rest of them? Well, I can just simply right click, go to face. Let's select all the faces. And instead of pressing get, let's go ahead and say set. All right, so that's gonna go through all the pieces and make sure that all the density matches on the entire mesh. So now once again, with all of this selected, we can go to modify and let's click on layout one more time. So maintaining the density is going to repack the UV space 0 to 1. And now you can see that the UVs look much, much nicer from what we had before. And now if we look at our model, you can see that as long as this button is on still, right? You can see that the density or the UV layout on the model looks perfect. And you can also see if any of the pieces have issues or if something needs to be fixed, right? Just like we did before, let's just make sure that nothing is overlapping. I'm gonna go back to my UVs, select all of them, go to select, and let's click on overlapping. And this time we shouldn't have any issues. And if you do, you will see this little green color, right? So let's say I need to investigate and figure out why is this still an issue, right? Let's go ahead and double click on this and I'm gonna isolate it. I'm gonna press F on my keyboard and just take a closer look and try to figure out why is this piece still having issues. I'm not really honestly 100% sure. So what I could do is I can just have it selected and I can reproject it from the top. Doesn't really matter which one. Let's say I'm gonna reproject it, press W and move it aside. And now what I'm gonna do is go to UV, let's do auto seams. Once that finishes, we can take a look, and obviously if you look at this piece, you can look at where the seams are running. And for example, this piece right here on the bottom is completely being ignored for some reason. So the auto seams is clearly not working with this, and this is why it's giving us the overlapping geometry, right? There is no seam here whatsoever. So what else can I do besides using auto seams? Well, another thing I can do is, check this out. I can select this piece and let me reproject it again, press W and just kind of reset all my seams, get rid of those. And another thing I can do is try to do something called UV automatic. So let me press that. And now if I press W and move it aside, you can see that now this piece has been broken into many, many different elements. And I know it looks terrible, but I know for sure that this is not going to be overlapping in any way, right? And this is not an important piece. It's just one of the bullets and not even the full bullet. It's like this little thing here. So I definitely don't care about it at all. I just want to make sure that it's not overlapping so I don't have any dark spots, in Substance Painter. So the next thing I need to do is, while this is selected, remember we need to make sure that our density matches. So I'm going to say set, and that's going to change the density of this. And now it's going to make it, much, much smaller, which is great, right? How do I pack all of these together? Because they are clearly spread apart now. What I could do is I can come down here and do unstack. And that's going to kind of group them all together in this nice little group, matching the density of the rest of the mesh. And I have this blank space here in the UV, so I can just shove them right here, and that should be absolutely fine, right? Let's go ahead and close this. And before we celebrate, let's just double check one more time just to be a perfectionist, right? Let's go ahead and select all the UVs, go to select, and let's say show me overlapping. All right, I shouldn't see anything green anymore, and it should be absolutely perfect, right? So essentially, as far as Maya is concerned, we have fixed all the issues and kind of redid the UVs to make them look much nicer, right? Let's go ahead and take this guy and export him out. So I'm gonna go to File, Export. And instead of the turkey low-res.obj, let me just change this to FBX. So I'll make an FBX version and I'm gonna say export. All right, very cool. Let's go ahead and jump into Substance Painter. All right, and in here, essentially what I need to do is I need to swap this guy, this old one from ZBrush, with the new Maya one. And at the same time, I would also like to retain some of the colors that we did, right? I don't want to start over again, from the very beginning. So how do I do this? So check this out. One of the tricks you could do is you can create a folder, and then you can take all of these layers and just put them in the folder. Close the folder, and let's name this folder, something like turkey, right? Very cool. Now what I could do is I can right click on this folder and I can say create a smart material. So I'm going to click on that, and a smart material called turkey was created, and it placed it in my smart material folders. So let's go ahead and jump out of the 2D, 3D view, just do 3D only. And let's go ahead and change or swap this low poly version for a different one. So I'm gonna go to Edit. I'm gonna go to Project Configuration. And in here, I'm going to choose a new file. My new file is gonna be the FBX instead of the OBJ, right? I'm gonna say Open. And I am going to leave preserve strokes position on mesh. Let's just say okay. And then sure enough, Substance deleted all of the information that we had as far as our texture goes, and that's fine. Let's just actually delete that as well. Now we have this new version of the model that also needs to be baked, and now since I'm looking at it here in Substance Painter, I can see that I don't mind the weapon. I like the weapon. And I actually don't even mind the bullets, but I don't like the nails looking like this. I need to fix that. Let me go back into Maya. And in here, I accidentally forgot to fix these. So I'm gonna double click on these, hold down the Shift key, and just quickly select all of these nails. And let me go to Mesh Display and do a soft edge, right? And now you can see that looks much better. Let's go ahead and overwrite our FBX. And let's just re-import our FBX file and say okay. All right, and now you can see the nails look beautiful and smooth, and everything looks pretty good, right? Obviously, the next step is going to be baking, and let's just hope that our issue that we fixed with the UVs is not going to be visible on these bullets. So to do this, I'm going to go to Bake Mesh, and I have to select, as we did in the previous video, the high-res version, and say Open. The other thing that I did was set it to 2K, and I do like the 4K for anti-aliasing. I'm gonna say bake. All right, once it's done, I'm gonna say return to painting mode, and let's take a closer look, and we can see that everything looks really good. The bullets are now completely fixed, which is great. The only issue that I have is obviously the tail, and as you remember in our previous video, that's because if I delete the normal map, that's actually coming from the normal map. You could see that there's no black spots of any kind, so the UVs are perfect, right? The issue with the tail was the fact that we changed slightly the size of the tail, and it's not longer aligning. The low poly model no longer aligns with the high res one, and that's why it's creating an issue in the normal map. I'm going to Control Z to put this back so we know what that is, right? But everything else looks really good. So that is the process of fixing UVs using Maya, which I thought was an important step. And again, for anyone who is, kind of new, it's really important and super powerful to use multiple programs. You could use ZBrush to a certain extent, but then you do need to go into Blender or Maya and or any other application that you like to use. And you do need to manually sometimes touch up things like UVs and so on, right? So that's why I wanted to make this video here. But again, to bring back all of our paint, what I could do is I can take this turkey and drag it into my layers. All right, and you can see that that actually worked pretty well. It maintained the position of the paint and everything looks good. Even the belly looks pretty good. The cigar looks really good. And that was pretty easy. The only thing that I see is there's just strangeness going on the weapon. I don't like some of these spots. If I look at the normal map, I can see that the normal map is causing some strange issues on the weapon, right? If I just simply remove my mask, and let's see, if I unhide it, you can see that it's actually fixing the weapon, but it's also removing the feathers, right? Remember in our previous video, we actually added a normal map layer, right? And make sure that you actually update the layer with the new normal map, right, that we baked. Because now you're gonna have two. You're gonna have the old one and the new one. Make sure you have the new one. And essentially, what you could do to fix if you are having similar issues, what you can do is you can just make this, let's do a black mask. And now the guy looks really clean, but of course we lost the feathers. And now if I select my polygon fill, I can just tell Substance Painter which parts of the model I do want to maintain the normal map on. So obviously it's going to be the feathers, right? And I can switch it to white color, right? So I need that, and I think the face had some, the neck had some, and the cigar, right? I think everything else didn't really have a normal map. Let's just do the bandana as well. And now we should have the weapon being clean, the feathers are present, and everything looks really good. And now we don't have that really weird stuff on the bullets. Alright, you guys, so this is it. So I just want to show you kind of the process of what it would take to clean stuff up using something like Maya, and then come back and reapply all the colors or textures and just kind of rebake the UVs and the normal maps and all of that. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in our next one.